When you press the door lock button on your Supra, if this arm moves real slow or doesn't move all the way to the lock position, almost guaranteed you're gonna have a problem with a mechanical sticking in your door latch. Okay. The other problem is this rod that connects to the linkage in your latch is also connected to another rod that connects to your outside key lock. So your key lock's probably going to also be hard to turn. And there's also a limit switch that's connected to that may or may not get activated if this linkage doesn't move all the way. So that's going to mess with your car alarm. So all these things, guys, the only way you're going to fix this problem, remove the whole latch, clean every bit of the old grease out of it. I mean completely scrub it all out, get it all out, and re-grease this unit. And there's also all the linkage. You can see you're not going to access this with all of these anti-theft shields in the way. Take this thing out of the way, you can get to all the linkage on this side of the latch. And there's a plate you can take off to get all the part that actually engages your latch on the door, so you don't fix your door locks and the latch at the same time. So I'm going to show you what tools you need, how to get this thing out, and how to take it apart and clean it. So be right back. Real quick on the tools you need: a little needle nose pliers come in real handy, and a small flat blade screwdriver. I'm going to show you this, how to use this in a minute. You may find a use for this one. You're going to need a number 2 Phillips and a number 3 Phillips. Make sure you use a number 3 on the screws that hold that latch on the outside of your door, because you can strip them out using a number 2 Phillips. And I need a 10mm socket or wrench. From there, to clean this unit out, I just suggest using either a carburetor cleaner or a brake cleaner. Either one does a pretty good job of dissolving all that old lithium grease. But you might take some of these screwdrivers inside your linkage, scrape as much of that old crap out as you can, and also reach in there as much as you can with a soft, like a nylon bristle brush, and just keep cleaning it off over and over again till you get all that old grease out of there. And once you get it out, we can re-grease it with your choice of grease. You can use either, I use wheel bearing grease. There's like a spray white lithium grease. I don't like this as much. It's not as thick. This is not going to be used for inside any of those mechanicals. This could work like on your door handle or something. And this is basically the old original style white lithium grease that they, in a tube that I'm sure you can still buy somewhere, that was originally used in all this stuff. That's what it had. Okay, so get set up on this panel. Actually, I'm going to show you using this screwdriver. I'm going to show you these, a close-up of how to get these rods loose. Right, all of these are going to have an open end on them underneath here, you can see. And the way to get them off, the best way I found, is to come in on top of this and with a small screwdriver and pry this up a little bit. It can also help by pushing this off if you can. The places you got to get to are really hard to get these loose, and I'm going to show you. This is how they got to all come off, like so. You have to move them off, and then you can remove the rod. Okay, so it's just like that. In and out, and they clip back down onto it. So this is the best method I've found for doing this. And I'm doing this with my offhand. Okay, that's not my dominant hand. I'm using my left hand. So you can do it. This is your method. There's 4 of these we have to take loose inside there. Okay, so I'm going to set back up and show you those as best I can. It's a little difficult to show you, but I'm going to show you the 4. Okay, so there's 4 of these rods we've got to take loose on the latch itself. I'm going to remove this one just to give me a little better access to show you how to get to these. One is going to be the other side of this rod that you're taking loose here. Okay, that's going to be this connector right here. Gonna take this rod loose from the linkage right here. We also have to take loose the linkage from the door handle, the rod from the door handle. We have to take loose the rod from the back of the ignition switch. And right behind here, this rod right here, hope you can see me. Yeah, here we go. This rod you gotta take loose from this pivot. And you can actually take the bolt loose from right here if you want, and take the whole pivot out to get to that one a little easier if you need to. But those other three rods all have to come loose, and this rod, that rod, and that rod are all going to come with the latch itself. From there, you got two electrical connectors you got to take loose. To get those off, we need to pull these out of here to be able to get to them. So needle nose pliers comes in real handy for these, and put on here and squeeze these together and get them out. Okay, force those out. Once you get those out, you'll see both of these connectors have two tabs on each side of the connector that you're going to have to pry up like so, okay, and pull all four of them up to be able to separate your connector. The other one, I'll show you, it's right here. It's the same thing, okay. You're not going to be able to do this with them plugged in into here, so that's why I tell you to take them loose from the door panel, because both sides of these, you got four of these tabs you have to lift off to separate. Once you get those two connectors loose and your four rods loose, all you got left is a 10mm socket to take this bolt out, and you're going to have 3 screws to take out here on the front. This is where you need the number 3 Phillips. Okay, these are kind of tight. They have like a locking washer, a serrated locking washer underneath them, so they'll come out. Now, like I told you before, all of this internal linkage of it's in here. All this is what you're going to spray down, clean really good with the carburetor cleaner or brake cleaner and a brush, whatever you need to get all of that old dried up grease out of there. Okay, it's going to make everything work tremendously better. There's one last step you can take once you have this out. So if I can get a good view right here, you can see there's actually a separate plate. See this metal section here? That's a whole plate that screws on with one screw onto this whole assembly. And you can take that plate off as well. Don't do this outside. Do this maybe like even inside of a box in a closed room, because there's springs inside of here that can go off flying. You don't want to lose them. It's really going to help you to take this plate off. You're going to see there's like a spring that sits in there straight, and there's another spring that sits in there on a curve into indentations into this piece. All of it's going to be full of dried up lithium grease. So you can clean all this mechanism off, even inside of there. You see that yellow plunger? There's even a spring behind that yellow plunger. Okay. That you can clean all of this out. And you're going to be shocked when you go to close and open your doors when you're done, okay? Because it's going to be effortless. Your key lock's going to work better. Your door lock buttons are going to work better. I wanted to show you how this actually looks as well. When everything's working, you see the mechanism operating properly. I'm going to move the door lock by hand. You can see what's moving there, making that shift back and forth. Okay, that shift back and forth is the mechanical lock that keeps your door handle from working, your inner and outer door handles from working. So one position to allow the handle to physically move, and the other position it will not allow it to physically move. That's how this works. And the reason your lever is not moving all the way is just because it's all gummed up and it's not moving all the way in each direction. Okay, and I'm going to show you what the actual power locks work like, because if yours isn't doing this, you know your problem's in that latch. Okay, all I did was clean all that stuff out, guys, and re-greased it up, put it back in, and it's working like this now. My car's never worked this well. You can do the same, just a little bit of elbow grease, so it's not that hard. So anyway, appreciate you watching, and good luck with your door locks. I want to make sure and show you the inside of this latch, so in case you take this apart and maybe one of these springs goes flying off on you, you'll know how this goes back together. So you just got to take that screw out of the front, then this whole plate's going to slide off. So try to work it off a little bit. And this is where one of those springs might want to fly out on you, so be careful. Oh, there it goes. Right there, okay. You can see this spring pop loose. The spring goes right in here. And there's a little tiny spot right there in front of that spring. It's going to be where this little nub is sticking out on here attaches into. When you put this back together, that little protrusion is going to stick right there between that spring. So push the spring back and forth. But you can take the spring out. Okay. Comes all the way out. You can clean all that old gunk out of it. Dried up grease. You can also take this spring here out. Same thing. Clean all this stuff up. Clean up all this mechanism inside of here. This is your electrical switch that tells you the door is closed. That's what this is. This actually lifts off if you want to take it off. And lastly, this little plunger in here, you can remove this as well. Okay, and you do that by pulling back on this part, getting out of the slot, and start to work it out. Okay, and then it comes out. Like I said, don't lose. I just dropped one of those springs here. There it is. Don't lose any of these parts. You can see how gummed up all this stuff is. It's supposed to go all the way through. Full of grease. Hardened up, sticky grease. So you can also take a little rubber stopper off inside. So you can take that apart, clean it all back up, put your springs all back inside, put your plate back on. Clean up all of this linkage down inside of here, especially right here where this plastic piece goes through this lever. Okay, and your door locks or everything, your door locks, your doors are going to close better than you have in a long time. So just want to show you that. So thanks for watching.